Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cranston Public Library. My name is Ed Garcia. I'm the director of the library, and we are honored to have you all here for this candidate forum. Hopefully, the first of a couple will have this election cycle. We've been doing candidate forums since at least 2014 here in the library, partnering with the Cranston Herald, and it's a partnership that we value for the civic health of the community. I want to turn over now to Joy to continue us now from the start.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I am Joy Fox. I'm the publisher of the Cranston Herald, and I'm doubly thankful because it is gorgeous outside. So I appreciate, and to Ed's point on this relationship between the Herald and the library is very important for civic engagement, civic dialogue, and we hope to have just that tonight, and I hope everyone has a good time. Just very quickly, on behalf of our team here, we've got Rosebilly Cineas, Greta Schuster, who's pitch hitting. She's from the Ward Beacon, but we're going to welcome her to come. And Ken McGonigal tonight, a former councilman from the city of Cranston, is going to be our moderator this evening. Again, on behalf of, and my colleague Sherry actually is in the back, and probably said hello to her on the way out or on the way in, and she is a part of our advertising sales team. So again, on behalf of our entire team here tonight, we appreciate your support of this forum. We appreciate your support of local libraries. We really appreciate your support of local news and the small businesses that support us. So thank you very much for that. And another quick thank you to our readers who took us up on the submitting questions. You will hear our crack team over here referencing reader submitted questions tonight. We got way more questions than we can handle, which is actually very exciting for us. So with that, I will turn it over to Ken, who will go through the rules of tonight for everyone in the room to hear. I know he's already met with the candidates. And then we're off to the races, and we will have you out of here in 1 hour. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Joy. So as a reminder, this is a forum, not a debate. It's an opportunity for you to present your platform and share your positions with the community on key issues affecting the city. We will work to keep the conversation cordial, although I think that will be fine based on our earlier little huddle. Each candidate will be given 60 seconds for an opening statement, an opportunity to introduce yourself and why you are running. Then Rose Gali and Greta will ask you a series of questions. Each candidate will be given 45 seconds to respond to the same question. And we are going to rotate who answers the question first. We'll start with Paul, move to Kristen, to Steve, and to Emilia. We are also going to start with Paul in that order for the opening statements. And then at 6:54, for anybody that's helping us time, we will stop questions and allow you all to have a closing statement and start with Emilia and work that way up the table. My role is to enforce the time limits. And my thought process is I'm going to put my hand up when there are 5 seconds left. If you happen to be looking at me, I'm not going to make any noises, but I will hit that when you're done. So if you do see my hand, please try to wrap up because you have 5 seconds left. And with that, I think we can begin with the first opening statement from Paul.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Archetto. I'm a lifelong resident of Cranston, graduated Cranston Public Schools, gone to Providence College, served in law enforcement, decorated twice, went on to graduate school, taught secondary education at Bishop Hendricken and other high schools, and now at college, CCRI, where I teach U.S. history and Western Civ. And these are my shadow days here. I'm getting older and I'm getting back into politics. I served as a state representative for 6 years, member of the city council for 10, and I was on the school committee for 4. So I think I can bring a lot of experience to the city council. Thank you.
everyone. My name is Kristen Haroian. I go by Chrissy. I'm running for Citywide Council after being on City Council on Ward 2. Before that, I served on School Committee, and before that, the Juvenile Hearing Board. Running for Citywide this time, I feel like I can make a bigger impact on the city altogether. This year, we were dealt with some big financial issues. I was not afraid to make a motion to send the budget back when it came to us with a 7.4. And I wasn't afraid to work across the lines and across the table to get down the tax increase to 4.65. There's a lot of work to be done. My parents didn't raise me as a quitter, and quitters don't win, winners don't quit. And I wasn't ready to give up. I'm willing to stay at the table and keep working till everything gets back on track. Thank you.
My name is Steve Stycos. I live in Edgewood, and I was on the council from 2010 to 2020 with Paul, and Richard San Maria, and Mario Acino. And I just retired. I ran a vegetable farm that grew vegetables for food pantries for West Bay Community Action. I'm running because the city finances are a mess. And I think as a former chair of the finance committee, that I can contribute to improving those finances. And it isn't just some abstract idea that they're a mess. We won't have teachers' aides in the elementary schools next year because the school department doesn't have enough money. The money for Head Start was cut, money for the Arts Council was cut, and the money for the Senior Center was cut by $1 million. So I'm sure we're going to get into details, but I think these are important programs that need to be supported financially.
Steve, thank you.
Hi, my name is Emilia Vaziri. I'm a Cranston lifelong resident. I graduated from Cranston West. I went to URI and got my undergraduate degree and my MBA. This year's budget was very difficult. I did not support the original 7.4% increase. I actually voted to reject it, and my focus is pretty straightforward. I want to keep Cranston safe, affordable, and strong, and make sure that the taxpayers get clear information and real value for every dollar.
Hello, many of you know me. I am Rosalie Sinius, the Cranston Herald reporter. It's great to be with you all tonight. Thank you guys for being here as well as candidates. Jumping right into it, the passage, adoption, and oversight of a balanced budget is one of the most critical functions of the City Council. This year, Cranston adopted its fiscal year 27 budget, raising taxes about 4% to address a serious budget hole. We're going to dive right in with a reader-submitted question. Please describe your experience with managing budgets. Please share as many specifics as possible, like describing the budget size in dollars or number of employees, and the specific role you played in managing it.
So this was my first time.
This is actually Paul.
So basically, I served on the city council for 10 years, and I served with a lot of experienced people. When I left in 2017 to 18, there was a surplus in the budget. We had $22 million in the rainy day fund. I didn't do it myself. Mario Acetto, Stan Maria, Steve Stycos, all had a lot of experience, and they would watch every department, every line item. I know budgets from state level, city level. I know where the fat is, where to trim. So to be specific, I remember when John O'Leary was mayor and it was difficult. He asked every department to cut 10%. And that wasn't done recently. So there are avenues that we can take that we can reduce the budget and help the taxpayer. I've been there, I know what to do. I have very good advisors out there, Mr. Santa Maria.
Paul, time is up.
Okay.
Thanks, Kristen.
I worked on the budget as a school committee member. This year, also, I came on council, not this term, midterm the year before, and I did work on the council. This year, we had budget hearings all day long, learning of the departments, learning where we could cut, where we couldn't cut, also departments that were not functioning for our city. We were not afraid to cut them if we needed to. Our council president did ask all departments to submit a budget with a 10% cut and how it would affect them and how they could run functionally and not run. There was some hard, difficult decisions to be made, and we had to make some of them. We learned a lot. We are now having more audit meetings, and we're also hopefully,
Sorry.
okay,
Sorry.
I chaired the finance committee for 4 years when I was on the council, when the Democrats were in control. And my effectiveness, I think I could measure by the fact that when the Republicans were in control, they wouldn't appoint me to the finance committee. We did things on the finance committee that really improved the city. When I mentioned earlier Head Start, the federal government cut Head Start to $50,000 in Cranston. And I worked with CCAP and I worked with other members of the committee, and we put together from various parts of the budget $50,000 for Head Start. That money has been in the budget ever since, so it's at least 10 years, except this year when it was cut to $37,000.
So this was my first budget that I worked with. The council was really good in coming together to make sure that I was understanding and learning how, like, where we could cut from and where we couldn't cut from. We did, as Chrissy said, cut from departments that we thought were lacking so we could bring back things like the senior center and the school budget. And we're also asking for monthly reports so that we're keeping the administration honest.
Just before you go, Greta, can I say, first of all, I am putting my hand up with 5 seconds and trying to do this to be fair to everyone. But I will admit, this is difficult because I'm interested in your answers and not looking at, so I apologize and I'm trying to be fair. This is going to be up to help you wrap up if you think of me.
can we do a little peek so we can look at the audience?
I know, right? No, it's more important than you look at them.
Okay.
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Greta Schuster, and I am Rosalie's colleague. I write for the Warwick Beacon. And thank you all again for joining us and being here tonight. Keeping on the same theme, do you think that the council can do a better job of keeping an eye on the city's finances, and what particular actions would you take if elected?
I go first, correct?
Yes.
I definitely think we will be keeping a better eye on the city budget going forward. Actions have already been put into place. We are now having more audit commission meetings. We're getting monthly reports of the finances from the department heads and from our financial director. And we are paying very much close attention. There's not one of us that isn't checking in weekly with our finance chair, our finance director, or the council president to find out how things are going. We're all very concerned, and if reelected, this will stay right on track. I did speak to the finance director earlier today. In fact, okay.
No, 5 seconds.
Our deficit this year is $8 million, not what was projected. The school department is projected to come in at an even level with no deficit.
One of the things that I think needs to happen is we need to stop borrowing so much money. In the last 3 years, the amount of money the city is paying just in interest has gone from $3 million to $7 million a year. So we have to cut back on borrowing. It's just, that's $7 million down the drain. We don't need, as a budget that was passed, we don't need $450,000 for lights at Fay Field. I don't think we need tasers for the police department. There are plenty of projects in the works that should be cut.
So going off of what Chrissy said, we do get monthly reports. We all go through them with a fine-tooth comb, and we do talk to Director Strom. One of our favorite questions to ask is, can we afford it, and can we keep going, or do we have to alter?
I think it's important that the Democrats keep the majority on the council, to keep the executive in check. So we need to make sure we have 5 votes on the council. One aspect I would address on the budget is my understanding, reading the papers, that the mayor issued 12% raises to a number of city employees. That won't happen if I'm there, and perhaps it should be the salary freezes for department heads or reduction in their salaries.
And to build on that question, to move forward with these ideas and recommendations, is it important to understand how the city got into this financial situation? Do you support further public discussions with an independent auditor? How would you encourage more public participation?
Well, I think that's, subscribe to the Cranston Herald. That's one thing. I think people need to pay attention, because this isn't over. And it's gonna be pretty bad, especially if we don't stop borrowing. Because if we borrow too much, the rainy day fund has gone from, as Paul said, 22 million to probably 5 or 6 million. And the rating agencies look at that, they recommend 5% of your expenditures is the amount for your rainy day fund. For Cranston, that's about $17.5 million. So we're short on the rainy day.
So I think that we need more public discussion. I think more people should attend the city council meetings. I think they should also reach out to their local officials. And I think the only way to get more ideas out there is to have conversations and get involved, and also subscribe to the Cranston Herald, because it has a lot of really good information in there.
Need the public to really know what's going on. They need to attend the finance committee hearings. They need to attend the council meetings. When I was there, very few members of the public ever decided to come on a Monday night. We had only 2 or 3 in the audience, and I think that's the greatest, the worst thing, because it gives the advantage to the own elected officials, because they feel that people don't know what's going on. So it's important that the people attend the finance committee meetings, attend the council meetings, and also, as I said, members of the press, the Cranston Herald, notify what's going on.
I agree also, if the public were to attend our council meetings, they would see more of it before it's printed in the Herald. But also, we have been making some changes. We've asked our council president, instead of having the department heads come before us once a year during the budget time, maybe we could up that to twice a year. It's not just finance hearings, it's other hearings everyone should be attending. So you understand where the money is spent, how it is spent, and what is going on with the city and what is necessary. And if you agree or disagree, it doesn't hurt to reach out to us. But by attacking us is not the way to do it. Have a discussion.
Thank you. One of the biggest drivers of the city budget is personnel costs, including public safety and education. Do you support sitting down with city unions to open contracts to find additional savings?
Yes, and that is what we did during this budget process. I'm for public safety in the schools, but there's always room in budgets in every department where we can trim things down so that we don't have to raise taxes as high and make it feasible for our constituents.
As a member of the NEA, I'm supportive of educational needs. As a former police officer, support law enforcement and the fire department. However, in difficult times, executive branch should reach out to the union contracts and see if they can negotiate something, get back. I know when we had financial trouble in 2011 or 12, I know we reopened several contracts in the fire. They were able to give back $1 million. The laborers are able to give back, I think, about $400,000. So in difficult times, it's not unheard of that the unions will come to bat and help the city.
I think most of us are already aware that the unions were asked to give up some concessions. The police department is not filling some positions. The fire department is not filling some positions. The school department has merged some things. So the personnel is being addressed. It will be a long-term thing. But those three departments in DPW and Public Works all made concessions before their contracts were given out to them. And then we did meet in executive session with administration and some of the unions, so we could ask questions about staffing and whether it would be safe to give up these positions and still have the response we needed to for the people of Cranston.
Well, I think the reality of the situation is the mayor is the one who negotiates the contracts. And the city council can make suggestions, but they're not at the bargaining table, and it's the mayor's contract. What the city council can do when a contract is too expensive. And four of us, including Paul and myself, voted no on a police contract several years ago that loaded the money to the top brass in the department. And that, along with John Lanning and Sarah Lee, that killed that contract, and a better contract came back. So that's council's power.
For the current fiscal year, the school department requested an increase of $4 million. The city council voted to give $1 million in additional funding. In the end, the schools cut over $6 million to balance its budget. What is your position on school funding, and what needs to happen to stop such cuts?
Yes.
Okay. School funding doesn't only come from the city, it also comes from the state. And one of our major problems with the school funding is we are not being reimbursed properly by Medicare and Medicaid. We have a lot of students that require extra services. And if that's not accounted into the budget, we have a big problem. All right, so do we need it?
What needs to happen to stop such cuts, and what's your position on school funding?
My position on school funding is I honestly wish we could fully fund our schools. It's not administrative pay, it's the children that pay for it. It's the arts class, it's the sports, and every child deserves a good education. We also have a big, major problem statewide with transportation. We have to transport a student that chooses to go to a school out of our district.
The problem is that if you look at this, again, at the budgets for the last 3 years, if you look at the fire budget, it's gone up 15% in those 3 years. The police budget has gone up 12%. City money for the schools has gone up 4%. So there needs to be some balance. And the schools need more money. We've got to at least keep them at the rate of inflation. You can't expect when inflation is running at 10% over 3 years to have them survive with 4%. So I would move more money to the school department.
So I'm a very big supporter in the schools. I think maybe applying for more grants, finding other ways to get money. But one of our biggest problems is the charter schools. And we lost, I believe it was somewhere around 19-ish million for all the amount of kids that left our schools to go to the charter schools. So I think we need to just be stronger in trying to keep our children in our own city schools.
I'm supporting schools. I'm gonna try to look at the budget, see if I can find any money to put towards the schools. I received a phone call about 4 years ago, a constituent saying that the roof at all the schools been leaking and hasn't stopped leaking, so that needs to be, and the boils in Cranston East are done. That's another problem. So the schools do need help, and we need to find some money for the schools.
In finalizing the budget, the city council made several amendments this year. As part of this work, the city's economic development director position was eliminated. Do you think this position is critical to the city's future in attracting business? And how would you plan to keep demonstrating that Cranston is a good city to keep or open a business, especially a small business?
I was one of the people who advocated for eliminating that position because it has not been held by professionals for many years, and they're given a budget of, I think it was about $5,000. So any major project, like when the proposal was for Costco or Taco was going to make an expansion, that's going to go through the mayor's office and the planning office. So I don't really think just having a department that says economic development does anything for economic development.
So it was very unfortunate that we had to cut this department. It's a very critical position, but he was just lacking the skills that we needed. We need to bring in more corporate tax dollars. That way the burden isn't on the taxpayers.
I was in favor of the department. As Steve said, people that were being hired weren't capable in that position. However, I think we need the Department of Economic Development. Therefore, we could put under the auspices of the legislative branch instead of the executive branch, perhaps make it a committee within the city council and assign council members to economic development. That's the theory here, but that's a direction we can go on.
I was in full favor of cutting the economic development department. I was actually one of the people that suggested it. Being the safety service chair, I dealt with economic development monthly when businesses were coming before me for licenses. Every month it added a good hour onto my meetings, and the business owners were very unsatisfied. It is important to have economic development in your city to help the taxpayer rate, but it also can be merged with planning. Nothing goes to economic development without the mayor's office working on it. We had to make tough cuts, and if we could take that money and give it to senior center or give it to the school department, I was willing to do it, and I would do it again. Someday I hope to have a functioning economic development that works with planning.
The November ballot has 6 local bond questions totaling $51 million, including school buildings, public buildings, playgrounds and fields, sidewalks, and public safety. A reader asks, as a council candidate, do you support the bonds? Why should residents support the bonds when we see how previous funds have been spent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Schools are our future, so we need to give our children the proper materials and proper school buildings in order to learn. And also public safety. We need to keep our city and our streets safe. So without those two things, I think it would be very detrimental to our city and to the people of Cranston.
I also would be supportive of the school bond and the public safety bond. The others I really have to look at and see if we really need to look. Those two I think are priority.
I'm in support of the bonds. I'm also in support, we've asked for every bond, how it has been spent and how much is left in it. This gives us the opportunity that if the boiler at one of the elementary schools that's now red and heated were to just go, we're able to replace it. Doesn't mean the money's gonna be spent. We have elementary schools with water coming through the roofs like a fountain. This gives us the ability if needed. We're not saying we're going to, and I think every one of us probably has been walking around campaigning, or you've been walking around your neighborhood, sidewalks are unsafe. And not every resident has the money to pay for their half of their sidewalks to move in. We need to do that for safety for all.
I support the school bond and the public buildings bond, and I really haven't decided about the others. I will probably vote against the recreation bond. Now, why will I vote against the recreation bond? Because what are they proposing to do? They're proposing to spend $500,000 to lower the dugouts at, in Cranston Stadium at the baseball field, so that you don't have to, when you sit in some seats, you don't have to see through the roof over the dugout. That's in the plan that the city has proposed. There are other lemons in there, so I won't support those.
This session, the General Assembly passed a law to block new charter school approvals for the next 3 academic years and also reduce the statewide charter cap from 35 to 28. What is your position on charter schools?
Do I set this one? Well,
I'm on record, voting against charter schools. Like, we have a very good, school system here in Cranston, and, I think we're doing a good job, and if I see other statistics, I will, look the other way, but, right now, I think for Cranston, it's our Cranston Public Schools.
For each child that goes to a charter school and leaves our public system, we're losing about 19,000 per pupil for them to go outside, and we have to provide transportation. If charter schools have the ability to send the child right back to us after 3 weeks, 2 weeks, for behavioral problems, for any reason, or keep the student, the money stays with the charter school. So we are losing a lot of taxpayer money to these charter schools. We're not the only ones. The superintendents asked for that legislation to be passed because it's affecting so many cities and towns' budgets. Charter schools were originally started as a mayor's academy and for a different reason, not to drain the taxpayer money. And we just can't afford it.
I'm opposed to charter schools. I testified as a member of the school committee against the first charter school in Cranston, the Achievement First charter school. In addition to the financial drain, I think it's very important to have public schools that the public supports and everybody goes to. You meet kids that are different from you, and I'm really a very big supporter of public education.
So I went to public school in Cranston, elementary, middle, and high school. So I'm a huge supporter of our public schools. I also went to testify last year against this proposal at the State House. And like I said earlier, we lose too much money when kids go to charter schools. So we need to try our hardest to keep them in our public schools.
A question from a reader. Do you support overnight parking permits for city residents, just like the city of Providence, to generate revenue for the city and provide a convenience for residents?
I think it's based on the wards. Right now, there is some discussion about trying a trial basis. We're working with public safety. It depends on your street. Not all streets can have overnight parking. We need to make sure that first responders can get to your house. I personally live on a very narrow street. I had a street fire. I had a house fire in 2020 and the fire truck could not get down my street. So a street like mine, it would not be okay. In other areas it could, and we are discussing that right now with the finance chair and the council president and public safety.
I do support the overnight parking. When I was on the council, I tried twice to get some kind of pilot program going. I couldn't get enough support for that. One of the problems that is not talked about is when people don't have enough parking spaces in their driveway, they pave over their front yard and park in their front yard, or they park on the sidewalk. That encourages flooding because the water can't get into the soil, and it looks like hell. So I very much support that.
I am also in support of this. Like Chrissy said, we're meeting with public safety to see what streets are allowed to do it and what streets are not allowed to do it based on the size of them. And also would love to hear from more constituents on what their thoughts are on this. Because, you know, over in, say, Ward 6, there's the sidewalks or the streets are large enough. So it's not that big of an issue, but in wards 2 and 1, it is an issue. And we just want to make sure that it's safe for everyone in case there is a fire or some sort of emergency.
I'm not opposed to it. However, I think it needs to be looked at as case by case, maybe street by street basis, and members of the public should come to hearings and voice their opinion on it. So I'm not opposed, but I think there's some streets, as Councilwoman Haroian said, that they just you can't do it. So I think it's street by street basis.
Continuing on that theme of public safety, flock cameras are all over the news these days. Cranston has more than 25 across the city. A reader is wondering, what is your position on flock cameras? Do you feel as though they are a tool to assist police, or are they a violation of privacy?
This one mine? Okay.
Oh, it might be Steve.
Oh, apologies.
Steve.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, the first thing I would do is sit down and talk with the police department. I have a lot of respect for the leadership in the police department. It's not always been true. After the Ticketgate scandal that both Paul and I fought on, the director, the chief was removed, the number 2 was removed, the union president was removed, and I think now we have a really respectable police department. So I think it's very important to talk to the people who are dealing with the policy. I would support no information to immigration services, ICE, and that the records be eliminated after about a week at a time.
I am in full support of the flock cameras. We were in contact with the police department and they sent over a whole bunch of statistics. They're a super important investigative tool. They capture license plate and vehicle characteristics. They don't capture facial recognition or conversations or anything like that. All of the access is controlled by the law enforcement agency, and authorized users must have a legitimate purpose to use this, so the searches are logged and audited.
I'm not opposed to cameras. However, I think they need to be designated as where they are. There should be signage, and the cameras are in this location, so members of the public know. And also, where can the police go with the information they obtain? So we need to look at that. And I think there are not many laws at the General Assembly on that. It's something new. So we need to keep an eye on the information that they obtain.
At this point, I am in support of flock cameras. Flock cameras are safe, I feel, as long as there's safeguards and transparency. I did sit with the police department and asked to explain the flock cameras to me. To view them, you actually need to put a police report into the program to see them. I am a family member of a 1986 cold case. If we had had flock cameras then, my family might know who murdered my aunt. I have full confidence in the leadership here in Cranston Police. They have solved over 109 violent crimes here in Cranston, and I feel like it's another way to make us safe. They don't do facial recognition. All they're doing is the license plate and car. They have showed me the flock cameras when I went in, and I really feel like it's a positive thing right now.
What should be done about the increasing rat problem in Cranston? Some have suggested hiring more inspectors, which does not seem possible after staff reduction. What are your thoughts?
So one of my original thoughts on this was to reach out to URI and see if we could possibly get hawks in the sky or some sort of natural way to eliminate the rats. I know it is a problem with people that have small dogs, but this is definitely something that I'd like to circle back with because I did speak to them. I believe it was back in November, and they said to reach back out probably at the end of the summertime, and we could have more of a discussion on this. So I think more of a natural way to do it. Also, we do put traps out. We just need to make sure that when we put them out, they're coming back to replace them. And if they're not,
This problem's been plaguing Cranston for a while. I think the rats were living at the verge for many, many years, and then when that was developed, they ran and tried to find a habitat. And then I received calls when they were building Gladstone Street School because many boroughs were in the mountain near the hill, so that released quite a few of them. I think one way is litter. I mean, people just throw their hamburgers out the window, their pizzas out the window. I think we need to address litter in the city, whether it be an old mattress or whatever. We need to get on that because that's where you're either going to find food or habitat. And second, of course, we need to get the rat men out there with poison and whatnot. But I think litter is one way to address this.
No hidden secret, the city in certain areas has a rodent problem. It needs to be addressed better. I think it also starts with the waste management, the garbage cans not having covers, and also with minimum housing. I think if we had a minimum housing court, the houses that have garbage on the front lawn, the houses that are just unkept, you'd have a better situation. We have dumpsters on Reservoir Ave that are never closed with bags of garbage coming out of them and on the ground. So that does need to be addressed also. We definitely need more control, more boxes, but we also need people to follow up after a month, have the truck reset.
You had 5 seconds.
I found that people who work on rat control for the city are really doing a good job. I think that the problem is that there's food out there for rats. And we have an inspections department, and they ought to be citing examples here that Chrissy, they ought to be citing people, and they ought to be fining people if they don't correct it. There are other consequences. But our inspections department, my experience has been, they're not ready to lower the hammer on anybody. And I don't know if that's the mayor's office or anybody else, but that we need more tougher inspections.
Moving on to the topic of city planning. In your opinion, what is the biggest vulnerability due to climate change that the city of Cranston is facing? And what would you propose to tackle it? Paul.
Vulnerable to climate change, that's the question. I guess we could go with more electric cars. That's a possibility. We could go with more electric lawnmowers, blowers, leaf blowers, things like that. That would help with the global warming. And as far as planning, long-term planning, like a comprehensive plan, is that's the meaning of your question?
Sure. I think to be a little more specific, I'm wondering about problems that you see arising in Cranston that are climate change related or environmental related, and how would you propose tackling those problems?
Well, I guess the amount of traffic, right? That would be a problem for climate change. So if we could increase the busing, electric busing, transit in our city, I don't think we've ever addressed any type of mass transit very well, but that would be my first step.
Okay, addressing the climate change, I think the first thing we can start with planning is when stormwater drainage, green space, when people come in with a plan and they'd like to build something or renovate, to make sure that we have a place for the water to drain off. Also, the second thing is making sure our storm drains are clean and kept up, making sure we don't have overgrown areas that are the city's property or the state so that the floodwater cannot drain. We need to work on all of that a lot better. I recently have sent in several requests for an area that was well overgrown. The storm drains were about 3 feet in, and I gotta give credit where credit's due. Within 2 days, it was cleaned up and the storm drains were cleaned up, everything was cut back.
For the last 16 years, I've been farming. And one thing you recognize as a farmer is how much it rains. And it's raining a lot, not more times, but when it rains, there's more water. And so we have flooding as an issue in the city. And I think there are two things that at least two things we ought to be doing. One is we ought to be planting more trees. When I was on the council, we started a tree planting program, $10,000 a year, not a big expense, but the more tree cover is going to soak up the water.
I would like a public priority list for drainage for the stormwater work. We need more grants, so we need to be seeking what grants we have out there that can help us put in better storm drainage, better coordination with neighboring communities along the Patuxent watershed and planning decisions that account for a lot of this flood risk before construction starts.
Affordable housing is an issue often raised by voters. It is estimated that the state will need 15,000 to 20,000 new units by 2030. For Cranston, that likely means just over 1,300 new housing units. As proposals come before the city, how will you weigh their merits?
I would gladly look at any housing development plans that come before us. They need to be really looked at for the same examples I just gave. We need to have parking for each house that needs to be built because not all streets are going to have on-street parking or driveways. We also need to look at storm drains. We need to make sure the children can fit in the school department if they were to have children. I do believe we need to keep some green space, but also have a balance of new houses being built. And we also need to make sure that we're building up say it's the western side of the city. Well, they have one fire department on Citywide Ave, so we can't expect one fire truck to get somewhere where this side of the city has plenty of
them. You want to blow a hole in the budget, it's a new fire station. So annoyed by that, I forgot the question.
So the question is on affordable housing.
Oh, affordable housing, right. Well, I think housing should be located on transit lines so that we don't need so many parking spaces. People can take the bus. And I think we need to look at phasing in the taxes on new housing big projects like the one that's being proposed for Legion Bowl. I've been a critic of those plans when they've gone to businesses, particularly when it went to council, gave it to a yoga studio, and another time to a doctor's office. If it's something like a big housing project, I think that's worth looking at.
So I believe in more affordable housing. I also think it's where housing fits and where infrastructure is available. We have to take into consideration, storm drainage. Where do we put them in the school system? And protecting our areas and our roads. So making sure that we're just not throwing up a house to throw up a house. We're putting it in a place where it is feasible.
I'm not opposed to creating more affordable housing. We have to balance our open space, limited space for housing. We do have a growing population, an older population. So my way of addressing the problem is perhaps more units and building built up. So that would be take up less space and you have more units.
Data centers, especially to support the growth of AI, artificial intelligence, are often in the news lately. Would you support the building of one of these data centers in Cranston?
No.
I second Steve. I'm not in support of them. We would have to have a lot of discussion about that before it would even get brought to Cranston, but I am not in favor of these.
Really can't give it. I'd have to research that, look into that more. I'm not really, well versed on that, so I'm just gonna say, I need to research that a little bit more.
From the information I know now, I'm against it. They're trying to build one in Hopkinton. I've been following that, and I don't think it would benefit our city right now.
A reader submitted the following question. Criticizing Mayor Hopkins and his administration seems to have become commonplace in Cranston. But whoever is elected will have to work with this mayor and his administration to get anything accomplished. How would you work productively with the administration, even if you disagree with them?
It's definitely a team effort. No matter who's in office, you have to figure out a common ground and how to get along with one another. Kind of like when you negotiate a contract, you have to push and pull on certain things and come to an agreement. And we're not always going to agree on things. It's politics, but at some point we need to figure out how to work together. And I think our council currently is doing a very good job at that.
I served under a Republican mayor, Mayor Fung, for 10 years. If Democrats have a majority on the council, it's much easier to negotiate with a Republican mayor. If we don't have the majority, then basically you have to just be kind of noisy and kind of a pest to get your way. So I've been in both positions. I think I know what to do. Thank you.
My personal opinions of somebody will not interfere. I've strongly disagreed with some of the mayor administration, and there's times I've strongly agreed with them. I will come to the table and work together, and we will hear ideas we like and ideas we don't, but we'll all come together and work together.
I think it's important to work together when we can, but when the mayor is proposing things like, or building things like the $175,000 that is being spent for a fountain in front of a church, $25,000 for a tree, like that, we need your help. Because all of us respond to public pressure. If there's enough public pressure, the mayor will change his mind.
All right. As we approach the last 10 minutes, I'd like to turn to some more fun questions. So where is your favorite place to eat breakfast in Cranston?
Is this mine?
I just went.
Paul.
My favorite place to eat was it the muffin place on Plainfield Pike there? What's the name? Thank you. Oh, that's not right. Will we go see what's the name of that place on Wall Street? We go once in a while. Yeah. It's a Spanish name. I don't know. I go on Wall Street. I don't really live there, but I go once in a while there.
Do you have,
Thank you.
okay.
All right, there's no question where I like to go eat. It's Cafe Meza and Miss Cranston Diner for breakfast. That's a given.
My kitchen with a bowl of grape nuts.
Love Cafe Mesa, the breakfast burrito is to die for, and Cafe Ava on Ralph Square.
Okay, another fun question. Have you watched The Real Housewives of Rhode Island, whether it be one episode or a full season? What?
I have watched The Real Housewives, and I love to watch it. I like to see all the Rhode Island scenery.
Just like the data centers? No.
Watch
Oh,
like
yeah.
2 or 3 episodes.
I have to answer this question. I don't think I've ever seen the program. So I'm sorry, I've never watched it.
One question.
And then the final question before closing remarks. What was the last book you read?
Steve.
It's Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve is.
The Correspondent, which I would recommend, a good quick read, available from the library.
7 Wives of Evelyn Hugo.
About a year ago, I was at the Alpine Country Club for the Italian American Hall of Fame. I met a member of The Godfather, Sonny, who's in the film, and he wrote a book, and I've got halfway through it. So that's the last book I've read. The person, whoever, I don't know the actor's name, who's in The Godfather, he played Sonny, the
Paul
son-in-law of Marlon Brando, and he autographed the book, and I've been reading
Paul.
chapter at a time.
Secrets of making the best sourdough bread.
Thank you, Chrissy. On behalf of the Cranston Herald, I'd like to thank our intrepid reporters, Greta and Rose Galley. And now we will go to the closing statements of 60 seconds each, and we are going to do the reverse order from how we did the opening, which means, Emilia, please start.
So obviously Cranston taxpayers work very hard for their money and they deserve city government that respects them. This means scrutinizing spending, supporting services that makes Cranston strong, and being clear about what choices actually cost. During the budget proposal, I rejected an unacceptable first proposal and helped work towards a more reasonable budget. Going forward, I will keep asking the same hard questions. What does this cost? What does this save? And is the saving real this year, or is it somewhere in the future? And what value are we getting out of this? I will continue to bring that practical citywide perspective to the council if re-elected.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. I think that the financial issues are the #1 thing for the city. I've had experience as the chair of the finance committee in cutting things, taking tough decisions. When Paul and I took on the police department, that was not an easy one. And the borrowing has got to stop. We cannot pay for another fire station, a renovated Cranston Stadium baseball field, new track and field facility for Cranston East. These are nice things, but we have to focus on what is important. What's most important right now, protecting our schools and making sure they have proper funding that at least keeps up with the rate of inflation.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. In my closing, I would like to say I've enjoyed being on city council. I hope to keep working for the constituents of Cranston. School department is very important to me as I started on school committee. First responders are very important, but so are DPW. We have a lot of work ahead of us. I don't want to stop here. I want to also make sure the children of our community have something to look forward to and have good education, good sports. And we're all going to work together. No matter who is elected, we will all work together and get along and for the better of the city.
Thank everyone for coming. I'm returning to public service after about an 8-year hiatus, and I'm running in order to address the problems. We have severe financial problems, and we need people with experience, who've been there before, who know budgets, who can negotiate with the mayor and get the city back on track. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming on behalf of the Cranston Herald. We appreciate your being here. The questions from the public were great, posed by excellent reporters. Thank you all.
You over.